Mhm.
Okay. Good afternoon, webinar by the Finance Leadership Forum, and this exciting webinar designed to raise awareness on professionals, policymakers, and you and I, because we all operate in the cyberspace. We have our bank accounts connected to the internet. We have our phones interacting with the internet. And we do not want any unauthorized access. And today, we have on what cybersecurity is, and also to give us some insights as in terms of cyber threats, and also to our humble Gambia, how are we preparing to actually tackle cyber crimes. Now, before I introduce him, I'll just give a structure of how this webinar would flow. We will have a presentation by our guest, and then we'll have a question and answer session after the presentation. So please feel free to put your questions on the chat, and then we'll direct it to him. Now, without further ado, I'll call on my guest by the name Cherno Jallow, who is a cybersecurity engineer. Cherno is a software developer and a cybersecurity expert, and he has a university. Cherno, welcome to Finance Leadership Forum. And please feel free if you want to share your presentation, your slide. And then, but before you do that, I would just like you to tell us more about Cherno so that we get to know more about you and then break the ice. Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Kwam Malik, and everyone here for joining us this afternoon for the cybersecurity awareness webinar. Well, you have actually break the ice already because all that you said is all about Cherno, actually. I don't have much under my belt as of now.
We want to know what your hobbies are, and we want to know whether you're married and all of those things.
Isn't that too personal? Okay, I'm
we
single,
wouldn't
as
use
you
it
can
to
see.
hack your account.
It's okay, it's okay. Yeah. I'm a single dude. Unless if you find one good girl for me, I will see if I can go for. If you know me, my hobbies, I don't have much. I'm either on the computer or I'm watching football. Those are the only two that I have. I don't camp as we locally call it. I don't do that. So my hobbies are football or at the computer. That's all. And if you can give me permission to share my slides, and I will go ahead and do that.
Okay. Okay, you can proceed.
Okay. Let me turn off my camera so that I won't be distracting people. All the focus will be on the slides.
Go ahead.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, once again. As we are speaking right now, there are thousands of people out there trying to hack your account, your bank account, your Instagram account, get your data, sell it online, or do whatever they want to do with it. Either you know this or not, it's happening right now. So in this webinar, we'll discuss cybercrime, cybersecurity, and how you can protect yourself and your organization by extension as well. Live, laugh, get hacked, and stop laughing. Now, this is meant to bring some light on the topic at hand, which is cybersecurity. Really, it's not a joking matter. We've seen cybersecurity, lead businesses to bankruptcy, individuals losing their fortune. Is a really serious matter. Really, people need to be um, very, very diligent when taking actions like, towards cybersecurity. So over the course of few minutes, of course, because I have few slides for this, I want to focus more on question and answers, which is more interesting and engaging as to cybersecurity. We'll take a look at what cybersecurity is and how we can use to defend ourselves, and we will see also why it matters, right? We'll see the common cyber threats globally, which Gambia is, of course, not an exception. And then we will take a look at where the Gambia stands when it comes to cybersecurity. And of course, we will take a look at tips since we are in the cybersecurity awareness month. It's only right that I share some tips to ensure safe digital environment for everyone. So, what is cybersecurity and why it matters? I would like to answer these questions by starting with the second one, right? In 2022, right? I'm sure most of you are aware, Central Bank of the Gambia will suffered a ransomware attack. We will discuss what a ransomware attack is in a moment. But for now, let's focus on the attack itself. So the attackers claim they have access to a server and they encrypt the files and all other files that were connected to subsequent computers which were on the same network. And they got access to terabytes of data worth of fortune, I'm telling you. It's very critical. That's what they allegedly say, right? The attackers for a blog post that I read. So from a report that came out from Central Bank of the Gambia, they claim that these accusations or this this attackers are saying is actually a fallacy. It's all deceptive. They're trying to kind of manipulate the public to instill fear. But let's assume like this attack was true, right? Central bank got hacked. This is a very big incident. Like in a country, central bank getting hacked is a major issue. Now, one major issue that might fall in is like national financial stability. Of course, it should have been instability, but maybe I was a bit hungry. So, central bank, as we know, manages is the central authority that manages financial flow in the country. I think the FLF can attest to that. So, them being hacked is a major issue. It will not only disrupt the banking sector, but also other critical national infrastructure sectors as well, such as telecoms, trade, and other utilities as well, because all of these have one thing in common, which is they rely on constant cash flow, for their daily operations. So central bank being hacked will not affect only them, as indicated. Also, sensitive data compromise. This is very serious. As you know, Central Bank of the Gambia is the major player in the finance economic sector as well. Them being hacked means exposure of trade secrets, user emails, user bank account details, national transactions, international transaction, national reserves is a critical issue. And this would have been, if it was successful as the hackers claim, would have been a very, very serious issue in the Gambia. Trust and confidence, of course, no breach goes without consequences. And this, of course, would have affected Gambia in general, because no international foreign investor want to invest in a place where it is a safe haven for hackers, because they would fear that their assets or everything that they want to put in there is at stake. So they will not. It will deter them from investing in the country, as well as international transactions or relationships, partnerships with other banks who are abroad. They will not risk, because once your friend got hacked, you are likely to get hacked as well. And thirdly, also, of course, the depreciation. If you don't have those relationships with most of these international partners, and you selling them Dalasi and stuff like that, your Dalasi over time gets depreciated. And this is a major consequence as a nation. Second up, if you are a keen follower of football, especially Gambian football, and active on Instagram, you will be familiar with Gamfoot Transfers. It's a major page for close to 100,000 followers. And recently, just a couple of months ago, they got hacked. And just a moment. They got hacked, and the hacker, took over the page and then kind of defaced their account. So for a couple of days, they didn't have access to the account. It was just this random guy, posting on the page. Now I want to read this, but there's something here that is blocking my view from it. Give me a second. Let me see if I can minimize it. All right. So according to Campo Transfers, that's what is allegedly put out there is they say one individual from GFF, which is the Gambia Football Federation, hired an Indian hacker to hack our account who bypassed our two-factor authentication using a cryptic code and managed to hack into our email, which I find hilarious. I don't know what cryptic code is.
we can.
So I just found it hilarious. I thought like I should share it with the audience out there. It's just this guy who made a video about the comfort hack. It was like you hacked the whole nation. This is the information center for Gambian football. How could you do that? So I thought it was funny the way he was expressing all that. So up next, let's move on. Um, so it begs the question, what is cybersecurity, right? So you can see on the screen, cybersecurity is the practice of defending computers, servers, devices, systems, networks, and data from malicious attacks. Malicious attacks like what, which we will discuss in a moment. Now, this definition encompasses regulatory frameworks and policies and standards that one must follow to develop a robust cybersecurity defense mechanisms. And also people also wonder like why hackers need to do this. Why do they do this? What is their motivation? Different hackers have different motivations. Some of them are just interested in financial gains, and some it's just to boost their ego. Oh yeah, I think I can hack that. Let me just go ahead and hack it and prove to my friends or people out there that I can do it, just to boost their ego. Some just to sabotage, usually activism. Activism, these hackers hack because of an agenda, usually against governments or organizations. Let's say the government, pass a law out there that, they don't like or they don't agree with. They go ahead and try to sabotage it by attacking critical national infrastructures, performing certain attacks such as DDoS, denial of service, and all other sort of actions. Some, they just need to carry out an espionage mission. What is an espionage mission? Espionage, as term used in cybersecurity or in military as well, is like hacking to gain information on certain company, for example, and then report back. For example, QCell might have a hacker. Excuse me for a moment. Going to not the best, but I'm not taking long. Apologies for that. So they might hire a hacker, hack official to get trade secrets, internal secrets that they have interest in. So there are certain hackers who do that. Some for governments, they hack for governments. You see China and US battling here and there, trying to get information from each one of them, trade secrets, defense secrets, you name them. So that's why it's a critical topic globally, really. Up next, we take a look at global cyber threats. Now, this should have been more exhaustive list, but just to save your time, because we don't have enough time, it's just a 1 hour webinar. We just focus on the most prevalent ones. As you can see on my screen, we have malware attack, which I will break down in a moment. Malware is a sort of program that's hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So malware is a sort of a program that act destructively, not in a bad positive, just to destroy the system per se, but it can also be used to do certain things, such as spying, which I will break down in a moment, and in social engineering, which uses manipulative techniques, to get information off of users and then use it against them or against an organization that they are working for. And then phishing as well. We'll also take a look at phishing, which is a use of deceptive tactics also, but masking as a legitimate person. Let's say Google, you sending an email claiming that it was from Google while asking a user to reset their password or stuff like that. We'll take a look at some examples in the next slide. This example of a phishing email, right? The user said, "Hello, I hope you have been doing well. I received your TNE mail this week." So usually it takes certain structures to identify a phishing link. It's either they ask you to pay or they ask you to click a link, to give out information. So this is what most people have been victim of, and they end up sharing the user credentials or financial details to an entity that they have no idea of who is. And I'm thinking, Downfood, for example, my people, these are type of attack they might have. being a victim from, regardless of saying they have the attacker crack the cryptic code, because that message alone is cryptic. Because what is a cryptic code? All right. So it takes certain structures. First, just identify, look at the name. Is it a name that you're familiar with? If not, be skeptical about it. And then the title, subject, usually subject, because they are sending it to mass number of people. Sometimes, they don't need to have a specific subject. They just need to make sure the subject, the message body, the email body, you know, is intact. That's all what their concern is. So you can see the subject, just says hello, right? And then hello. Usually, if you receive email from a known contact, right, you come with a salutation will also include your name usually. Hello, Cherno. Hello, Malik, for example, right? But for this, they just made it generic, right? Hello, and then come out. So when you see this type of messages, just be skeptical. No greetings for the link, for the kind of email. And as I said, they ask you to click links most of the time. And this link, if you visit them, it's either they will ask for details, or sometimes, which most people don't explain, it might take you to a website that is less compromised, or unsecure website, which might have a vulnerability such as cross-site scripting. Now, that cross-site scripting can enable the attacker to kind of, if you visit the browser, it might enable the browser to send in your details, cookie details, and the username passwords if possible, even if you don't send it out. Because a vulnerability will kind of attack your browser to get these details without even you giving it out to them. That's why it's very risky to visit these links sometimes. And also, if you look carefully, because most of these attackers sometimes, like, they're not English. I don't know. They're not English. How am I going to put this?
They're not without
Their grammar is
educated.
not that great, right? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
All right. So their grammar is not that great, right? When it comes to writing. So you will notice certain English misspellings. As you can see, administrative assistant. Instead of saying assistant, saying assistants, for example. And we'll take a slide, the next slide, and see another email. This one is also a phishing. This one I received it personally. You can see the domain here. It says monkey.gov.gm. So this is the government domain, specifically for Ministry of Communications. As you can see, the attacker texted me on email. He's saying, "I am a hacker. Hello, I am a hacker." As I said, no salutation. It's generic usually. "Hello, I am a hacker who has access to your operating system. I have also full access to your account. How did I get it? I've been watching you for a few months now. The fact is that you were infected with malware through an adult site that you visited," which I believe is a big lie. I don't know who does that. I mean, so the attacker, this attacker, I mean, proposed attacker, not actual attacker, because this is so mediocre. It's not a professional hacker who did this actually. So you can see this guy didn't give me a link to click. But he's saying, if you want to prevent this, he kind of highlighted the consequences here. But he's saying, if I want to prevent this, I should give you 1,400 US dollars. Where am I going to get this? So via Bitcoin. So usually they will ask you to pay via Bitcoin, because bank, as you all know, Bitcoin is runs through the blockchain technology, which is a decentralized way of communication, which is different from banks, which is more centralized. So they know if they go through the banks, they will be caught for sure. So that's phishing. So next up, we take a look at social engineering. This might also be another possible attack that Gumfood transfers fell victim of, instead of that cryptic code. I quote again the cryptic code, right? They said. So social engineering attack is a sort of attack where someone might approach you to be friendly, so friendly, it might be online, while they have a hidden agenda that you don't know. One notable instance that I don't know if you've heard of sock puppets. So what sock puppets are? These are accounts on the internet that exist, you know, which a user uses, but it's not the actual identity. I know many people who use this, and sometimes I use it as well, to be quite honest. So I mask myself as someone, maybe a cute girl out there, trying to text out my friends, trying to deceive them. I know some of them are in the calls here, but they know me. So it happens. So be careful who you text online and who texts you, because not all of them are genuine, right? So these are the specific steps it takes. Usually, based on the information you post online, you kind of gather information about you, about your hobbies, what you like, where you live, your best friend, and stuff like that. So from there, they can gauge whether I can, attack this individual, or I can just leave it to slide. Then after that, if they have a target, usually they call it a mark. A mark is someone, a possible target that you can, exploit. Then they start pretexting, approach you in a friendly manner, text you, trying to friend you. And that friendship, it might cost you. Because once you start trusting someone, you're bound to send information that you are not even willing to send, because of conversation, how it flows sometimes. you know. Then they approach you, approach you in person. This might be in person or via call, video calls, just to like build that trust with you. I mean, if it is carried out by a very good hacker or a bad person, I mean, you'll fall a victim. That's these are the techniques that these scammers use. But sometimes I don't blame their victims, because you need to be like cyber aware to be able to prevent yourself from this, because they look so good, really. They look so good. And when they approach you in person, being on video call, via video call, or physically via meetups, they make sure they build the trust as well. And next up, since they have the trust they needed, that's when they will take advantage of it. And next up, as you know, they're fleeing. So be careful of social engineering attacks. Don't trust anyone who texts you on the internet. If you don't know them, be careful of replying. You can reply a few messages, but if you start this, if you start seeing the usage also, building interest in the conversation and trying to get information from you, stay away. Uh, Types of malware. As I said, malware is a kind of a program that might, infect your computer and cause some action, do some actions. It might be destructive or just be dormant lying there doing not, I wouldn't say nothing, but doing less harm than destructive ones, right? Ransomware attack. So this is the attack that central bank allegedly suffered from in 2022. This is a type of malware that once it infects the computer, it encrypts the entire file system, right? So it makes sure from files, everything that is in that computer will be encrypted and you will not have access. So they will ask you to pay for ransom, which is a amount of money that you pay. And then once you pay, and they will then decide to, unlock your files. So this type of once again, this is the type of attack that central bank faced in 2022. So the entire file system was of that server that was infected was kind of brought to lockdown, was locked. They couldn't have any access. So spyware, this is a type of malware that when it infects the system, it could be a mobile phone, a computer, and when it infects the system, it just lies there. It doesn't do any destructive stuff like encrypting or anything. It just collects information. As you can see, the name suggests spy. It just spies on your keyboard keystrokes and then it sends it out to hacker. Or the emails you've sent, websites you're visiting, you like the username and passwords you're using on various websites. It just collects this and do nothing. And what it does is just send it to the hacker. And the hacker might take this and then just sell it on the internet or use it for its own advantage. And then adware. This is a type of malware. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
We
great.
have some questions on this.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Ransom,
yeah. You
yeah.
can hold your horses. I
Yeah.
mean, just let me finish the
But
slides and then we can talk about.
we will give it to you at the end of the presentation.
Sure, sure,
And
sure, sure.
please,
No problem.
for the participants, please feel free to drop your questions as he's presenting. You may have a question on a
Oh yeah,
particular slide.
sure,
Just
sure.
drop it and then we would pose it to him. Thank you. You can proceed, Chairman.
All right. So adware is a type of a malware that for those of you who I will talk about it in a second, but for those of you who like to download these mod apps, if you're a
Yeah.
big fan of a movie also, obviously the sites you download movies from, they're not legit sites. They are mostly controlled by, people who have hidden agenda against you, because there might be attackers who, pay these websites to publish their malwares in there. So you never know. That's why it's very unsafe to be downloaded from these sites. Now, hardware is a type of a malware which kind of sits in the computer as well, and it does nothing. What it does is just pop a advertisement when you visit the internet, when you have connections, rather. So that's how these malware kind of works. Usually, is used by certain people who have, let's say, a software that they know is it's not much of a doesn't have much popularity, right? So they need to advertise it out there. So they use the illegal means, which is just kind of injected in a sort of a program, and then when people download the malware gets downloaded with the program. So once you visit the internet, once you have internet connection, you just see ads popping up on your screen like that. So worms are also type of malwares that kind of replicates, but it replicates to infect other systems as well on the internet. On the internet, it replicates to connect to infect other computers who are connected on the same network, particularly a computer that is in communication with another computer which is already in a victim of it, like it's been hacked by this particular worm. It's a bit similar from a virus, but the virus it replicates internally within that system that is being exploited. So Trojan horse, again, those of you who like to download more apps and selling other apps on the internet. So Trojan is a sort of a malware, right? That looks legit, so legit. For example, that's why I'm a bit against using free VPN softwares, because most of the time they came as a Trojan, right? They look legit, they protect you with codes, right? But in reality, they come with Trojan that which act as a spyware, kind of sometimes sending out information about you, your location details. If you have anything sensitive out there, you might send it out. So that's why it's very important to, if you whatever you're doing, make sure you download legit softwares. And botnet is a series of infected computers that form kind of a network globally. Your laptop or your mobile phone might be a part of a botnet. It might be compromised by a particular vulnerability, and then there's attacker remotely out there who's controlling all these compromised devices, and this might be used to chain an attack. You might use your own computer, someone remotely, another attacker remotely might use your computer to hack another system without you knowing all this. That's why it's very important to be aware of what you do on the internet. So Gambia cybersecurity readiness, with all this, I mean, as a country, what really are we doing, to kind of protect ourselves from this? Let's see. The general overview of it, as a government officer, to be quite honest, I can see making small strides towards, um, improving the condition of cybersecurity in the country. The government, particularly the high ups up there, is starting to like pay attention to this, because it's very important to protect the critical national infrastructure. As I mentioned, the central bank being hacked, how it could affect other sectors as well, and yeah, to protect citizens' data as well, and to make them aware about cybersecurity and stuff. So with that said, the key focuses that you're doing right now is just to improve the awareness and all this stuff. As you can see, uh, I'm not sure if you're active on LinkedIn or not. ITU, which is International Telecommunication Union, have just shared the report of the rankings of cybersecurity globally. And the Gambia have just moved a step forward in their ranking system. We are in tier 3 right now, as we talk. And we are behind just 9 countries across the whole of Africa. So I think that's a great achievement for a country like Gambia. Yeah. So regarding legislative progresses, for any country to be cyber secure, or for outsiders to see this country as, really, excuse me for that. For any outsider to see this country as a country that's very serious in cybersecurity, they have to like take an assessment on how robust your legislative or regulatory frameworks are. Now, for Gambia, as of now, what we have is the cybersecurity policy. Now, this cybersecurity policy has provisions in it that you know, kind of shares how you can be protected online, and the tips and tricks you can take to protect yourself and your organization by extension, right? And then how to identify certain hacker techniques, and then deterrence for people to commit certain crimes. Now, the government is also working on the cybersecurity bill. Cybersecurity bill has almost similar provisions with the policy. So one might ask, what is the difference between the policy and the bill, right? So the policy is more of a general guideline that people can optionally follow wishfully, right? If you wish, you can follow. If not, then you just discard it. But the bill would be more legally binding. So when it is enacted, so most of these financial players mostly will be, legally binding to abide by it. And then, of course, as you know, there's also child and vulnerable group online policy. I don't know if I butchered that, but I think that's the right term. Child and vulnerable group online policy. This is meant to protect children, right, and the vulnerable ones online to make sure they are cyber aware and then kind of protect themselves from some of these threats. And also the cybercrime law is about to be enacted, which is a crucial step towards reaching the goal. It's very important to have this legislature to kind of deter these threat actors kind of doing what they do. When you have a cybercrime law, yeah, it means you're doing good. Because any serious country which is considering cybersecurity to be crucial need to have these laws in place. So the Gambia, I think the government kudos to them, particularly the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy. And I'm not being biased here, but to be specific, the cybersecurity department as well. All right. So when it comes to capacity building, which is very important, if you have these legislative measures in place and you have the infrastructure, whatever, you need to have the expertise, man. You need to have it. I mean, who's going to manage it? And if you have a lot of this, and then people are not cyber trained, they are not aware, you having all these sophisticated defense mechanisms in place, might not be of good because the defense mechanisms will do their job technologically, but on the flip side, the hackers might just exploit the human factor of it if your employees or citizens in general are not really cyber aware. So the government, as you know, capacity building. You've seen, those of you who follow me on LinkedIn, it's not been long since I came from Ghana about the cybersecurity, cybercrime training with the FBI, and I think a lot more other people have been going to trainings like that, especially cybersecurity. This is just so to build up the capacity, as a country, to make sure we have enough expertise, to kind of address these issues and as well, providing scholarships as well for certifications. They've been doing all this, which is really great to be honest. And I think over time we will reach there where we have sufficient cybersecurity capacity in the country. And awareness training as well. Of course, since we're in the spirit of cybersecurity awareness month, government organizes every year. I'm sure very soon you will see on TV, right? About government officials talking about cybersecurity and its awareness. And yeah, we collab also with the civil society organizations like the Gambia Cybersecurity Alliance, uh, GAMCON InfoSec community in the Gambia, and some others about sensitizing cybersecurity, providing training and stuff like that, which I think is a key to cybersecurity, maturity as a country. So up next, we take a look at tips to protect yourselves. As I said earlier, since we are in the spirit of cybersecurity awareness month, it's only right that I share some, tips and tricks kind of to protect yourself from cyber attacks or being a victim. So keep your software updated. Every app that you use, if it is a legit app, whenever there's an update, you will see a notification popping up asking you to update the app. When you see that, rush to it as quickly as possible. Yeah, install antivirus softwares, but from credible sources, right? From sites that are really credible and not just from any Google software that time itself, obviously, as antivirus you should download. So just you can do a quick Google search about credible antiviruses, and then you will see Google will index the results for you. So make sure you download from credible sources. Antivirus, very, very important. If it is credible, it will prevent certain malwares from running on your device. Download from trusted sources, as I said. Do your due diligence checks and make sure the sites you're downloading from are safe and secure, and don't just download from any other website. This goes to you guys who watch movies a lot and football as well. As some dudes will also go and download these APK apps that provide live screen streams on some football matches. Most of them, not in terms of free, man. If you are downloading the software is providing you live coverage of matches, know that there's something with it. Yes. Verify links before clicking. If you are tech savvy a little bit, you will know this technique. If you hover over your mouse on a link, you will see bottom down there, you will see where the link takes you. And this is a way of making kind of your due diligence check to make sure you're clicking on a link as expected from its description, right? Also, be skeptical of unsolicited emails and text messages on Instagram, Facebook, or wherever. When you see a message that you weren't expecting, put a question mark on it. Also, check your emails. Beware of manipulation tactics, like we shared earlier about the wrong spellings, asking you to clear links. Also, they also add some urgency to it sometimes. If you don't do this quick, you might lose your account, or if you don't do this, I mean, you might be blocked, something like that. Just, trying to trigger some sort of urgency for you to act quickly, or don't fall for it. Verify request for sensitive information. Someone texts you asking for information. Verify, call your friend, a colleague, or whoever if they have received similar message. If not, contact the IT guy, probably if you're working in an organization. If you're not, if you're an individual, ask people who know. I'm sure Gamba Cybersecurity Alliance and of course Gamco InfoSec also have group chats where they share insights about cybersecurity happening in the country. So in case if you see any threat that you don't understand, just kind of you can just text it in the group. I'm not sure if there's anyone in here who's in the group. Probably there might be. You can just ask people who know so they can provide guidance. Limit your information sharing as well. Don't post everything about you on the internet. It's really a risky thing. Like even if you're not for hackers, but just random strangers out there might find out more about you than you even think. You know, I've incidences where I've met people not for the first time while I've been seeing them on the internet, but I know a lot about them. And once I start spewing all this information I have on them, they were like, no, no, how did you know about it? Someone must have told you, but no one told me. Really. It's just something that I found on the internet. So be careful of what you share out there. And this last one is a very important one. Enable two-factor authentication, right? If you have WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever app you use, I'm sure there is two-factor authentication enabled. Link it with your mobile phone or your email. In the event that when you want to log into a new device, it will ask for, let's say if you put your username and password correctly, it will send a code to whatever number you link it with, and then it will ask you to verify with that code, which is like two-layered defense. So I'll encourage each and every one of you to kind of observe these security tips and make sure you are cyber secure, poised to be digitally safe in the long run. And with that said, thank you for your kind attention and up for the interesting part. Ask as many questions as you can. Thank you very much, and over to you, Malik.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Cherno. This was really an insightful presentation. And I think you've covered most of the topics that we were expecting, or I was expecting. And we have a couple of questions on the chat. But before I read your questions, let me go first, since I have the privilege to ask my own question. So for those on the chat, please pardon me. I will ask my question first, and I will read out your questions to Cherno. Now, Cherno, you mentioned CBG hacking, right? Were you part of the team that helped CBG resolve that issue? Or did they pay the ransom to just fix the issue? That's the first question. Maybe you want to answer, or I can ask the second one.
Let me just answer that one, then you can go for the second one.
Okay.
So the CBG, as you know, happened in 2022, and by that time I was not in the government, right? I was still in India doing my bachelor's. But from the reports that I read, CBG, what the attackers allegedly posted out there, there's this blog post that I saw. I think that was the attackers who said that, but or someone, I don't know, was against the central bank or whatever. But the information they put out there about the hack And the actual reality, from what I saw in the reports, they are so contradictory. Like they were claiming they had access to the entire network, while from report it just said like just one server, and that server was not even that much functional. It was not even being utilized on a large scale within the bank. So it wasn't what they were claiming, but they resolved it anyway. They're back on their feet, and which I think is great. And as you saw, there was a moment there, a couple of months ago, right?
Yeah.
Couple of months ago, they were advertising for cybersecurity positions and other security related positions. I think this is a step, they're taking to kind of make sure they are more defense focused, kind of. Hope that answers the question. Up
Yes, thank you.
next.
Thank you. And the second question really is about the policies you've mentioned here. So where can one find some of those policies? And also you mentioned some groups that you have, like a WhatsApp group or a Telegram group. I'm not really sure, but if you have some of those links, you can please share. If you can, then please share with us so that we can, or everybody here can have access to some of the policies. If it is a public document, right? If you can share, please do.
Okay. So the policy, you can find them the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy's website. Is accessible there. I think also GICTA's website, Gambia ICT Agency. But for the ministry, I'm very sure it is there. Is my screen still sharing?
No, I can't see it.
Oh, it's fine. So, but you can find it from the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy's website. It's there. You can download from there. And the groups. I don't have admin rights to share the links, but I don't know. Just ask. I mean, I'm if you text me or LinkedIn about your number, I will just forward it to the admin to add in those groups.
Okay,
It's really important that you're part of those groups because they share useful tips and tricks in preventing yourself of these cyber attacks.
fantastic. Thank you. So the next question is from Dominic Bass. So he said, does
Mm.
that mean social, and I think his question is around social engineering. So he's asking, does it mean that engineering attack can go for years just for one person? Like maybe they can set it up for you, and
Oh
then
yeah. It definitely can. Hackers, I mean, a very skilled attacker is very patient. Like they don't rush. If
yeah.
he's very skillful, he will take his time
And
for
even talking
sure.
of social engineering, I was actually a victim of social engineering not
Oh
long
man,
ago,
sorry for
right?
that.
Because and like you said, the techniques have become more sophisticated. So what they
Oh
would do
sure.
is they will look at a vulnerable person in your circle, let's say a family member or a friend that you trust, and then they would hack that person and they would give that person certain instructions. Maybe, oh, my father is sick, or your father is sick, we need you to send this money ASAP, then you will see that sense of urgency. And then sometimes without verifying, right, you can easily send them money and become a victim of their attack. And I think you highlighted that point where if you have such messages, it's always good to call. Don't call on WhatsApp, maybe call on the local line, because sometimes when they take over a phone, let's say they take over your WhatsApp, if you call, you get the hacker. But if you call the local line, right, you get the correct person, unless they do a SIM swap, which is also another technique. And I hope our telecoms company are aware of this, where when you go and replace someone's SIM, you just replace it easily, not knowing that that particular SIM card is actually linked to the person's bank account details, WhatsApp, and other accounts. And once you swap that SIM, it means you're just handing over somebody's life to another person. And it's a very risky one.
Oh,
Let's
I agree
see.
100%. I agree 100%.
Let's see another question from Ibrahim Halilu. He said, Mr. Jallow, could you please clarify what are mode apps, right?
So Morab is a kind of let's say let me take example of a gaming app, right? Yeah, so there are certain apps there. Let's see, PUBG. I don't know if you have heard about PUBG. It's a very popular game, fighting game, for example, right? So
Yeah.
usually it's a Chinese-based company. It's a Chinese-based company that own the app, but sometimes due to certain political, stuff, they might get banned from certain regions, right? So
Mm-hmm.
usually people make copy of those apps. So they made the copy of those apps and then publish them out there for people of that particular region to have the apps. So it's like a clone app of another app, which is legit as well, a mod app, modified kind of,
Okay. Okay.
if that
And
makes
that's
sense.
that's why it's always safe to download or upgrade your app via the App Store or Play Store, because
Exactly.
sometimes you get a link on WhatsApp, right? I think they have this new technique. They will just send a link to you, or you will just see a pop-up on your WhatsApp and asking you to click or do something. Once you click, it means you're authorizing them access, and they eventually take over your WhatsApp or whatever attack they are sending to you. And the sad thing is, when they
Mhm.
hack your WhatsApp, most people are in different groups. You may be in your CFO group, you may be in your ministry group, and all these other groups. And once they hack your WhatsApp, they have access to all of these groups, and it becomes
Yeah,
very dangerous
100%.
because they start using your name to either beg for money or give out instructions, and it will be in your name, and it's a very
100%. I
a very
agree.
risky one. So there's another question from future CFO, and he says, in terms of cybersecurity, institutions are working on their infrastructure to address potential threats. However, individuals, households are exposed to. Please, can you elaborate on risk exposed to households considering the surge in internet and digital platform usage, especially to the younger folks and parents, like the older age? Because most of the time you see the targets of these attacks are the old people and maybe the younger vulnerable people.
Yeah, that's the whole point of this webinar. To create awareness, right? What you've learned here, extend it to your younger kid or your brother or whatever. If they are aware of the threats out there, they will be cyber secure. And for anyone out there like using a network that is not secure, say a router that has been compromised, or kind of browsing from an unsafe internet provider, you might be exposed as well, because a very skilled hacker might be able to sit in between the communication of you and the service you're trying to access. It's called man in the middle attack. Despite you having a good router with passwords configured on it, he might get access to this and then compromise your communication. So
But
that is likely, like that is unlikely to happen for a household, to be quite honest. But generally, like these account takeovers and bank account security, it's more geared towards individuals as well. So that's why it's important. Whatever you learn here today, extend it to them. It will be very helpful in the long run.
absolutely, absolutely, because the risks are just numerous. And now with the advent of AI, right, people
Hmm.
can design videos or can get a recording of your voice, and just
Oh, for
type a
sure.
script, and your voice will be reading or saying things that you are not the one that is saying it, and they can actually play it for your family member. They can play it for people that you
I
trust,
completely
and
agree.
then use you as a proxy to attack others.
Completely agree.
That's a good one. Ibrahima Halil also asked if he wants to know whether the slide you presented here can be shared with the audience here. So please, if that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
okay
sure,
by
sure,
you,
sure. So,
can
so like, how am I gonna share it? That's the issue
uh,
now. But they're ready. Like I'm ready to share them. It's nothing.
okay. I think you can share on the Zoom platform if you click on file, right? And then you can click on your
Right?
computer wherever the file is, and then you can share.
You know what? I will
Uh,
put it in Google and then I will share it
okay,
via Google
share
link.
the link. Fantastic. That's also a very good one.
Yeah,
Let me
sure.
see. So there's a question from Secretary General Waba.
Mm-hmm.
How can you partner with the commercial banks in West Africa to define or to defend from hacking? Right? How can you partner with the commercial
How
banks
can you, if I get the question right,
partner with the
how can you
commercial
partner with
banks
commercial banks
in West Africa to defend hacking? Is it
to
to
defend
actually
hacking? Right? So,
yeah.
you see the topic about cybersecurity. It's I don't know, like it's really like a unique topic kind of, because the thing is, when CBG get hacked, right, it's risky to call on foreign investigators to come and do investigations, because this is a private thing to ours, to our own country. So banks also find it that way. Cybersecurity is very critical when it comes to transnational thing. See, when a bank is hacked, it would prefer its locals to handle the case rather than being exposed outside. Though you can collab with them, to kind of provide trainings and stuff. But in case of emergency, you would like them to stay back. So it's been happening. I'm sure central bank have been sending out their staffs to be trained on cyber incident management and defenses and stuff like that. But when it comes to emergency, you don't want to go in that area. Like, you don't want to collapse to that extent. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
Maybe when you're invited, maybe perhaps if I have a company and it's not that it doesn't have that cyber security infrastructure, and then you're attacked, like what you have in the West, like where you have some freelancers and other companies, legit companies, that actually helps companies detect cyber attacks, cyber vulnerabilities, and then help cover. Because recently in Nigeria, we've seen a major upgrade in most of the commercial banks' core operating systems. I'm not really sure what triggered it, but I'm suspecting it's because of a cyber threat. Because if you see most of these commercial banks upgrading their core banking systems, then definitely there must be some vulnerability that was exploited and they're trying to fix it. And I think, that could be one of the reasons why this guy is
Yeah,
asking.
it happens. I mean, collaborations happen not only in banks, but in other institutions as well. Sharing insights about current threats happening, what they're observing on their network.
Yeah.
It happens, yeah. But
Sure.
in case of an emergency, that's the last thing you want to do. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Cherno. I think we have come to the closing hour. Please, if you have further questions, you can unmute now. Maybe we'll take one or two more questions before we invite our president, as the president of Finance Leadership Forum, to come give a closing remark. So we can entertain two more questions. Feel free to unmute your mic and ask directly, and Cherno will handle the question. If not,
Sure.
we'll call on
the president.
Yeah, hi, Ibrahim.
Yeah. Thank you very much once again for the webinar for both of you. So before the president speak, I think it would be honor to say one or two words. I think Mr. Jallow did a very good presentation, and I think this should be continued. Awareness is very key, as he clearly stated. Some of these issues are awareness in the sense that some people don't know, but sometimes some people are also greedy. Let's be honest. Some people get hacked. Some people get hacked because they were greedy. Let's say we saw somebody said, I'm going to give you money that you have not worked for. I work for World Bank. I found your name in a list. I want to transfer to your account. Or maybe I'm in a trouble. I'm from Libya or Nigeria. I want to give you some money. The money you have not worked for. So I think getting rich scheme is not going to help anyone, even if they ask you to invest, which is a different topic about the financial crime aspect that we did, I think 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
But one of the areas maybe I want to hear his view on. So for most of the organizations I have worked with, we implement ISO standard information security, ISO 27001. And from this certification, you basically put some kind of governance in the organization to ensure your information are secured. For private, it may be difficult, but in my opinion, for banks, which are public institutions, by their definition in the Central Banking Act, banks are public institutions, governments like Central Bank, Ministry of Health, all of this, shouldn't we have a part in that bill for them to have some kind of information security certification, because that assures us, the users and the public stakeholders, that they are managing our information securely. It's not 100% perfect, but I'm not sure what the policy is currently in the country or the bill is going to put in place. Of course, it's not easy to put these things, but you have to work towards that. And I know, for example, if I give security outside information, so I'm into port and logistics, we have ISPS, which is the International Port Security Code.
Yeah.
You may have that, but for example, US government have their own code that is higher than this international code. If
Yeah.
you do not meet to that requirement, US will not allow you to ship something, let's say a container from your country to US directly. You must take it to another country, which has that requirement, unload, and they inspect and they take it out. And I think information security is going to be there one day. If you don't have certain kind of requirements in your country, your communication with other countries can be difficult or you just be losing. So I don't know
Right.
what is used on the ISO or certification that we can put in our governance that certain institutions must have certain framework or governance in place. By default, you cannot accept a central bank without information security in international standard form.
Right.
Yeah, so
Thank
I would
you.
like to comment on that. He made like a very good point about this webinar and the standards he mentioned. First off, about the people being greedy. You see, these scammers slash hackers kind of they're very intelligent. It's not just mediocre people who are carrying some of these attacks, you know. Some of them they exploit the human aspect of it, psychology, right? It's not just only, you know, scamming. If you walk out there and see someone who's needy, if you promise him money, he will do whatever, you know, you ask them to do, right? If you're talking to him, someone who is wealthy, right? If you speak to them value, they will be able to, they will be willing to do whatever you ask them to do. So it's just psychology they're taking advantage of, right? It's not even a matter of security or whatever, but certain things, as you said, it doesn't even make sense. The money that you don't even work for, you know, someone giving out to you like that. Nothing comes for free if you know how life in general, you know, operates. So I think that's what they're taking advantage of human psychology. So another point he mentioned was about the provisions of the policy, right? Or the bill.
Yeah.
Right
The
now is the policy
ISO.
that is
Yeah.
active right now. ISO, the standards, right?
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of this policy. The policy have provisions about standards that must be in place for operating certain type of data. Example, banking, you need to follow PCI DSS, which is for Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. So you have to follow those standards to kind of, you know, process data about data Visa cards and debit cards. And then ISO, they have different standards based on what we're talking about, systems and networks. So the policy has these provisions. It's just people who are not following this guideline. As I said, it's a policy, so it's optional to follow. But once the bill is enacted, everybody will be obliged, like they will be obligated to kind of obey these laws and follow them. They have standards. They have standards. They're there. So it just recommends the best among the rest, you know, for people to follow and organizations as well. It's just people who are not following them. But with the bill being enacted, yeah, it will make obligatory, right? I hope that answers the question, sir. Over to you, Malik.
Yeah, thanks, Cherno, for that. I think you've answered that question. So once the bill comes into pass, it becomes law. Like you said, the policy is optional. People can decide to adopt it or disregard it. But when it's passed into law, then it becomes mandatory. Maybe we'll take the last question. I think Secretary General wants to speak. You can actually unmute your mic and ask the final question before we wrap it up. And thank you, Ibrahim, for that comment and question.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Malik. My name is Alaji Jeng. I'm a Gambian national, currently based in Freetown, the Secretary General of the West African Bankers Association. This is a very important area for me, and so important, as I said, because of my members. As an individual coordinating all the commercial banks in ECOWAS, Gambia inclusive, cybersecurity is something that's affecting my members. I vote in Ghana, Gambia, Liberia, and the like. I remember signing MOU with series of cybersecurity personnel to have this type of educations with my members. I remember last year we conducted a forum and symposium, in the form of a symposium in Sierra Leone, and where I invited some EST applied science cybersecurity. It was a 2 days forum, and which members were invited across the region to fly to Freetown to come and get some knowledge about cybersecurity. We knew that why we should invest in this, because those hackers, whether we like it or not, we knew that they are investing a lot of money, a lot of investment on themselves of how can they get what they want. So as commercial banks, we know that we are always vulnerable. And as the Secretary General of the West Africa Bankers Association, my interest now is to, whether the institution is a Gambian or whatever, but all my work, all what my target is, I wouldn't want my members to be hacked in the future. So when I saw this message yesterday, I endeavor to make sure that I got the link and I connect. I really be impressed as a fellow Gambians going up to this level and also giving some knowledge. Right before I came to this forum, what I learned here was never been taught before. So this is something I can always write tips and share with my members across the region of West Africa. That's why I asked that question, how your vulnerable institution can collaborate with the West African Bankers Association to make sure that these hackers or these banks can work freely through hacking. So I want to stop from there, but this is just an introduction, and I hope that from here we can collaborate and link up in more of your programs. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I greet everyone both in Gambia and abroad. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, SG. We really appreciate you being here, joining us today, and it's a pleasure. I'm always available, to share my knowledge and whatever I have about cybersecurity. So my doors are always open. I really appreciate your contribution. Thank you very much.
And thank you too. And please feel free, if you want to share your contact, just DM me, and then I will get your details, and we can collaborate more. And on that note, I would like to call on the president of Finance Leadership Forum. And just to give a background on what Finance Leadership Forum is, Finance Leadership Forum is a professional association dedicated to supporting individuals, professionals, interested in finance and leadership. And we also foster collaborative environment like this webinar that we have, and other opportunities where people can come together to network, learn, and grow. Right. That being said, I will call on our president, Salifou Ba, to come and give the closing remarks. And thank you everyone for joining us. It's been a very enlightening session. Thank you, Cherno. It's been great having you on this webinar. Salifou, over to you. And apologies for that background. I have my assistant here trying to disrupt my webinar.
It's okay, man.
All right. Thank you. Salifou, over to you, Salifou. Before Salifou, maybe Cherno, you want to give closing some words you want to share with the rest of the team in the form of closing remarks before we call the president.
Yeah, once again, thank you very much for all of you, for taking your time to attend this webinar. In this digital age, it's very important to be cyber aware. If not, there's a lot at stake. So I really appreciate your time and for being here and then paying attention to whatever I have to say. I know it's been a long time. We are 15 minutes off, but thanks once again. Keep learning, be humble, and then stay safe, guys. Thanks very much. Over to you, Malik. Is Malik around? President.
Thank you very much, Cherno. Very insightful. It was worth waiting for the time that we have spent within the past 1 hour. cybersecurity, it's becoming now a very trending issue in both institutions, but in households as well. And I think your presentation did justice to both people working in corporate and even personal institutions and households respectively. I think one aspect of cybersecurity that we have to look at is the social side, where we have seen families being spoiled, aspiring leaders being spoiled, all in the name of cyber attack, relating to bullying, relating to being exposed to things that should not be exposed to them at a particular age, are all part of the threats that are posed by the modern day age that we are in, especially the technology. And I think these are all things that you have mentioned during your presentation. And again, the steps that the government are taking, but institutions are taking as well. I'm fascinated by having Alaji Jeng as well coming on board to highlight a possible collaboration and what he is doing in his institution. I think what finance leadership is doing is to look at all areas that are affecting individuals, both in the Gambia and outside, to look at how best we can make information available to Gambians, but more so to individuals that are interested in learning. And this is very clear. So I must recognize maybe the presence of the ESCO members of the current finance leadership, but more so some of the senior members of the Finance Leadership Forum as well. Lastly, is to thank Pa Malik for coming up with such a very great initiative and making sure that this has happened. And Cherno, kudos to you. And I know this will not be the last one, hopefully, for us to collaborate as a platform, because this is what we are here for. And we'll be happy if you know any other platform that we can collaborate with. You're welcome to bring it on board. And this was very insightful, and I understand that a lot of people have learned because we have parents that are here. We have heads of institutions that are here and may take up at least one or two things from this conversation. Thank you very much. And Alaji, we are happy to collaborate, and I think from here we'll have a side discussion. But feel free to come on board. Sorry, I'll join you. Feel free to come on board to join the Finance Leadership Forum, which is open to people as well. So thank you so much. And I think now the floor is closed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the rest of our participants, please feel free to stay back. The webinar has ended, but if you want to network, please feel free to stay back. We'll stop.